We come here to verse 32 of the 15th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus is being surrounded by the crowds who have been besieging him, you might say, for the healing powers that he has. Matthew has highlighted that in particular. They have been with him now for some time, basically using the Hebrew idiom here. It would be 3 days, but it's probably one full day and part of 2 separate days on either side. So they're in the 3rd day that they've been with him, and Jesus now expresses his concern about the state of their situation. So we have this verse in which that's addressed. Ho, the article, Jesus, the Jesus, idiomatically, but the Jesus, or Jesus. Proskalesomenos. This is from proskaleo, to call to. And so he calls to himself, is the idea. This is an aorist participle. So having called to himself, tous mathetas, the disciples, autou, genitive, singular masculine, of him, possessive pronoun here. So he calls to himself his disciples, apen, from lego I say, 3rd person singular, aorist active indicative, and said. So having called them into a private council, I would imagine, something like this. The disciples have been out, probably dispersed among the crowd, and doing a little crowd control, I would imagine, but now Jesus summons them to this private consultation and says to them, splagnidzomai. This is the verb, splagnidzomai. It's middle in form, deponent verb. It means literally, I compassion. Of course, we don't have that idea in English. It's an active verb. So I have compassion would be the way we typically express it. And so I have this compassion, epi, on, with the accusative tone, oklon, on the crowd, or over the crowd, or because of the crowd. Hoti, conjunction, because, a day. This is a indeclinable adverb already. Hemerai, of hemera, means days. This is the plural. This is the feminine plural nominative here, because already 3 days. The word 3, trace, the adjective modifying days, because already 3 days. Prosmenusen, from prosmeno. Meno means to remain, prosmeno, to remain in a sense attached to, facing is the notion. So they remained with me now for 3 days. The object of this prosmeno is moi, the dative, which is customarily used with pros, not always. Up here we, for example, didn't have the dative, but normally it would appear. So they have remained with me for 3 days. Kai, connective, uk ekusen, 3rd person plural, present active indicative, and they do not have. And then te, interrogative pronoun, what? Phagusen, from phago, I eat. This is the 3rd person plural. Aorist active subjunctive, so they don't have what to eat, you might say. We translate it as an infinitive. It's actually a verb in the subjunctive here. So they've been maybe 3 days, or the better part of 3 days, and they don't have anything to eat. Kai, connective, apolusi. This is from apoluo. Luo means to loose, apo, to loose from. This is an infinitive, aorist infinitive, so, and to loose, autus, them, the object of apolusi. Nastes, this is in the accusative, it's an adjective, it agrees with autus, it means fasting, from nastis, which means, it's an adjective, but it means in a state of fasting, so loose them fasting would be the idea. Uthello, I do not wish, so the infinitive goes along with the wish here. I do not wish to loose them in a state of fasting is the notion. Me pote, less perchance, this is an indeclinable adverb. Ekluthosen, this is from ekluo. Luo means to loose. Ek, out of, to loose out of. It's in the passive. Idiomatically, it's the idea of lest perchance they are going to fall or perish or faint. Would be the idea to loose out of. It's kind of a distant idea, but you get the point here. So lest they faint or collapse, and so on. In te hodo, in the article hodo, in the way. So Jesus, of course, seeing these people in this desperate need, he's been healing them, but at this point they've had to rely on their own resources, which are probably meager with respect to eating, and he's aware that they're going to be quite hungry, and if he sends them away, it's not going to go well for them. They probably have no expectation whatsoever that Jesus is going to actually feed them miraculously, but of course you recognize that's precisely what this verse is setting us up for.